What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Lucid. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down on what is really moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. And I actually wasn't intending on doing a Lucid video since I already did a Rivian video on this YouTube channel. But it was actually pleasant to see. I saw some people message me on Twitter just asking, hey, what's up with the Lucid? So I do appreciate the support, and so hopefully a lot of you do appreciate and enjoy the Lucid videos. But without further ado, let's get right to it. So Lucid's down 1.8%, 1686 the low, 1740 the high, but very low volume. So 2.9 million shares being traded, 9.1 is the average. And so ultimately, we are seeing a lot of negative data. So we had ADP employment, the weekly number, and that came in at negative 11,000. That is very bad. And no different than what I've mentioned last week with the Challenger job cuts. The market wants negative, slightly negative, not horrifically bad. So we are starting to get more and more kind of common signs of cracking coming from consumers. We even had also Goldman Sachs earlier today saying that most likely the states lost about 50,000 jobs in October because of the whole shutdown. We still have yet to receive a lot of good key data, but nonetheless, 50,000 in October isn't great. And you can kind of tell that Bascent was doing some damage control, because shortly after this, you saw some comments saying, hey, you know what, like the AI is causing and stimulating a lot of the labor market, and we're actually seeing an increase. I call complete BS on that. I do not think that AI is driving up jobs and people, like it's hiring. Like you're actually seeing the polar opposite. So definitely a lot of fear is in the broader market. As far as specific to Lucid, there has been no news, no SEC filings today, so it's been rather quiet, and they've been largely piggybacking off the broader market. So it's been a rough day, but as I've kind of complained even in my video yesterday, I think just Lucid generally doesn't know what the hell they are doing. And I've been covering Lucid for a very, very long time. And one common thing I've always mentioned is I love their product, but their management is garbage. Some people might completely disagree with me on that, but I think in general, Lucid's biggest issue right now, and has been, is that they just sit back and they expect consumers to confine and change to what Lucid's offering. That's not how it works. I don't think any company or sector, that's how it works. What you need to do is you need to adapt. And this is why you are seeing, for now, was it the third consecutive day, Rivian just blowing up like crazy. So Rivian is up 7.74%. And so they knew and they read the room. They said, hey, you know what? Consumers are struggling. I'm going to make a priority and have a lower price vehicle. Lucid has been talking about that midsize for almost 2 years now, and nothing has really, like, they could have easily focused. And plus they also did get, I think, what was it, that facility, Nikola facility, if I remember correctly. They could have easily moved up the midsize, but they didn't. And so I think just chronologically, even best case scenario, it's going to come late 2026. So Lucid is just not really good at like reading the room, not good at executing on any plan whatsoever. So it is unfortunate to see how Lucid goes. At the same time, I've really mentioned that there is a lot of pumpers on Lucid. And one thing that they love to say is, hey, you know what? Market's going down. Honestly, I think just it's time now that people stop giving excuses and justifying Lucid's crappy execution. They like, this is where we're at. Like I know I mentioned this almost like 2 years ago. Lucid is kind of like a parent type of scenario for those of you that have children. If your child keeps acting up and not doing something, like what's the parent supposed to do? At what stage do you like discipline Lucid or just start calling them out? Way too many people are just, I don't know, it's just nobody is afraid to actually call Lucid out for the crappy action. Anyone calling it out, you're now a Tesla fanboy or whatever people like to call it. So heaven forbid Lucid actually does, I don't know. It's a very bad scenario. Plus, we do have this right over here. So another stock on one of my other YouTube channels I cover is Opendoor. They just had their earnings and they announced a significant, and when I mean significant, that it's massive. They announced a lot of dilution, but yet since then it's gone up. Do you know why? Because the CEO is a very innovative thinker, thinks outside the box, and that is exactly what the market does value. Once again, you have Opendoor adapting to what people want. Lucid just sits back. That's nothing. Like, that will never work. And not only that, but Kaz, who is the CEO of Opendoor, said that tomorrow is my first day I'm allowed to buy Opendoor because of the blackout period, and my family is buying 1 million at the open. Have we ever heard any single member of Lucid insider buying? Never, ever. And I've kind of complained about this. And the only one, to be fully fair, that's ever purchased anything, transaction code P, has been the PIF. And I will be fully honest in saying that if Lucid did not have the PIF, they would have already done 3 reverse stock splits, and they would be more in the crapper than what they already are. Everyone, I feel like just all the management right now for Lucid, just think of Lucid as like an infinite money glitch, that they get shares, transaction code A, that's where they were awarded stock, and then what happens is then they just sell it for tax purposes, and in some cases it's transaction code S, meaning a straight up sell, such as 𝗪𝗧𝗡𝗡𝗘𝗖𝗧 back in 2024, but nobody's buying. Nobody believes in Lucid. Mark didn't, Peter didn't, nobody ever did. And it's absolutely, it's sad. I know I could probably say some more kind of stronger words, but it is just very, very sad to see Lucid have such a good product, but ran completely like crap. So again, this is ultimately why Lucid is going down. People can make excuses saying it's the market, but it is just simply management. So this is a quick video on kind of that. Shorts surprisingly aren't doing all that much. So 28.35% of the free float is being shorted, works to be 41 million shares. When it comes down to institutions, you see about 3 transactions, 2 buys, 1 sell. So big money's not really buying the Lucid dip, and nor have they. Even, for instance, the last couple of trading days, it's been nothing but selling. Dark pool transactions, you're not really seeing that much. So again, shorts aren't doing anything. And given the price action, it is fair to assume that hedge funds are also selling Lucid. So the whole mentality of, hey, let's do a reverse stock split, we're going to get institutions on board, well, that didn't really work out. Although, on a side note, I know I've mentioned in the past saying whoever mentioned that brilliant idea needs to be fired. I don't know if there's a coincidence between 𝗪𝗧𝗡𝗡𝗘𝗖𝗧 getting fired and that, even though I don't believe that would have been Eric's position to even suggest that, but you never know. Whoever suggested a reverse stock split needs to get fired. Whether that be Mark, clearly at what stage does Mark need to get knocked down and just fired? Clearly nothing's really amounted to anything. Just a lot more supply chain issues. Even though Peter was very tech focused, he seemed to have ran a tighter ship. Under Mark, things seem to be all over the place. But right now with a 1691, it is trading between this pivot and this S1. So 1646 is going to be that next strong support. 1720 is going to be the next strong target / resistance. And on the actual chart, there's nothing really positive to kind of look at because of the recent price action. Stochastic RSI is a little bit overbought, or a little bit on the high end. It is below the 10-day moving average, below the 50. Don't really see that much willing buyers. So you have some kind of willing buyers up until around that 1630, but that is it. So yeah, it's a very unfortunate kind of scenario, like I said, but it's everything that I mentioned. Just Lucid not really reading the room, and just lack of commitment and sentiment coming from management. So let me know your general thoughts on Lucid. Are you buying Lucid at all? And that's actually, I did get a couple of questions about that, just DMs. I did get in, I bought a little bit more. That was through selling a put, and that was, I believe, is at $19.50, or it might have been the $19 strike price. Can't really remember, but nonetheless, I probably will not be buying Lucid only because I do feel dilution is coming. The only bad thing about what Lucid recently announced, which was right over here, so they did announce it was that new DF, whatever it was, that new line of credit, wherever it was. So yeah, they do have that 2 billion kind of line of credit. The negative side of them having that for investors is that they could utilize that and they do not have to let us know, right? We will find out during upcoming earnings, which in my opinion, to pay that off, there will be dilution, but like this month, technically they would be needing money. So I do feel that they will just be dipping into that line of credit without a official announcement for dilution. So it is unfortunate how things are playing out, but I think at the same time, institutions and retail are not getting in because of also that fear about them diluting. So let me know your general thoughts on Lucid. Are you buying? Are you selling? Like, what's your kind of general 2 cents? And then one final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Even I did a post on Lucid when it was at $22 or $21, and I said that I do feel realistically it's going to go down to about $14.50 to $15. That is where it would be a good buying opportunity. That is exactly how it is playing out. This is why I like to just focus on the data, realize what is coming, and don't get so hyped up. Don't listen to pumpers, influencers, or anything. Just read the data. So if you are looking for some solid buy signals, definitely recommend popping over to the Patreon. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.